Okay, we're good. Call the meeting, special meeting of all County Commission to order. We'll start with pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Which is normal, we'll do the public comment. We don't have anybody on. Okay, consideration and adoption of agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second.
First and second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, our first item of business is interviews for outside legal, or first and only. Legal counsel, the legal advisors, and we have Bob Blackmore. Morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. Your sound is coming through very low. If you could speak into the camera or into the microphone, it might help. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you, yes.
Okay.
Is
Our
that what our
microphones-
camera is right now?
Yeah, the camera's there and the mic's there.
The mic's hanging from the ceiling.
Mhm.
Okay.
So just yell at the ceiling.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so you got rain down there?
Well, it's nice at the moment. It's a little breezy, a little overcast, but it's been on and off rain.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get right with it. Of course, everybody in this room knows, and everybody knows there's two positions in the county that the BOC handles directly, which is the administrator and county counsel. So that's why we are here. So we're gonna start off with, we're gonna have one commissioner ask a question, and then the next one, and the next one, and then loop back if they have, okay?
But Bob was gonna do a presentation. I believe.
Oh, you're gonna start off with one? Okay. Did you want to speak before we got started?
Yes, Matt gave me 4 questions that he asked that I respond to start. And if it's okay with you, I'll just go ahead and respond to those 4 questions. The first
Great.
question was the size of the firm. We have 4 attorneys in the firm, 1 paralegal who actually is an attorney as well. When we need it, we have access to additional paralegals and other assistants with other law firms, and there's a law firm right next to us. So we do have that. And I should say that of the attorneys, we all have a significant workload in municipal law. So we're all part of municipal law work. The experience within the firm, I've had over 40 years experience working with special districts, cities, and counties. Ron Guerra is 20+ years doing the same type of work. He was actually an attorney within the county down in Medford area on risk management's my understanding. Heidi has had at least 15+ years in terms of working for municipalities. Heidi's focus is on employment law. She right now does a significant amount of investigations for the state of Oregon. And I'll talk about that a little bit later when we get into conflict area. But she is really focused on the environmental side. And then Nicole does a lot, employment side. And then Nicole does a lot of employment law work as well. She also helps out with litigation and general other municipal areas because she's very experienced in that. And she's been she worked in the city's attorney's office for 11+ years, and at least 5 years or so with Innova. The potential conflicts, I don't know of any direct ones, offhand. I think there's a potential for conflicts with the state of Oregon because Heidi does a good number of investigations for different departments with the state of Oregon. That's an ongoing scenario, and she does that on a regular basis. But I think the potential for that conflict is somewhat remote. It's possible that it could get into the area of Oregon Health Authority or in some other areas within the state. The fourth question was, how would one manage this hybrid scenario with your in-house counsel doing a lot of the DA work versus the outside counsel not doing that area? I think that the first and most critical aspect of that is just clear communication as to what the attorney's roles are. And I think the attorneys, Justin and us, would have to have a clear understanding of what our different roles are. And second part, we have to cooperate to make sure that we understand who's doing what and who's responsible for what type of deliverables. I guess a third part is clear direction from either the chair or Matt, whoever is engaging legal counsel to do work, probably be working 90% of that through Matt, is my understanding, and if not 100%. And we just have to have clear direction on deliverables, who's responsible, and what timelines are. It's always helpful in advance if you know what the critical timelines are for responses, what the Board of Commissioners needs in terms of deliverables by such and such dates. I think in the past, we've not with Morrow County, but with other clients, whenever we've had an issue on timeliness, it's usually because of publication issues, is that we haven't had a clear understanding of when work needs to be done because of publication of agendas and other items. So we just have to have a clear direction and understanding of timelines. One of the side comments on municipal experience is that while we have significant municipal experience in a good number of areas, there are some areas that we do not engage in. And while we have some potential to do union work, as Ron Guerra has done a lot of union work and just completed major union work on behalf of one of our municipal clients, we don't do that on a regular basis. I understand the county has its own union council, and we would expect that to continue. We have not looked to provide that service unless it was requested and it was something outside of what your current council does. We don't do environmental work. We associate other counsel for environmental issues. Planning and zoning, we're not actively engaged in that area either. But most of the type of work that counties, cities, and special districts do, we're engaged in on a daily basis. So those are the four areas that Matt asked us to look into. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
First of all, I didn't get to see these questions before this meeting. Could you please email those to me? I would have liked to have seen them before he started in here.
Yeah, thought they were in the packet, but apologize.
Were they? I didn't.
Yeah, they're on the cover sheet.
Anyway, okay, so just to go back to one thing you were saying, since we're already on the questions that you had, are you saying that as far as, is there going to be a written agreement with the county on who approaches you for legal work?
I think the communication needs to be established as to how that is handled. With other jurisdictions, usually the chair can engage legal counsel. Other board members or commissioners can engage legal counsel if the chair approves. That's the normal process that we've been engaged in the past. That normally that's pretty rare for the most part, because most of legal work goes through the county administrator, and we'd work closely with the county administrator on implementation of legal work in that sense. So I would recommend, though, that the county commissioners decide amongst themselves if you want everything to go through your county administrator, Certainly, the county administrator needs to be involved and know everything that's going on. But if the county chair wishes to engage for specific issues, I think that would be appropriate, as well as other commissioners, as long as the county chair would approve it in advance.
Well, are you saying that we're gonna put the authority with the administrator on what legal issues you would deal with? I mean, he gets to go thumbs up or thumbs down.
No, county administrator doesn't have a thumbs up or thumbs down on issues. That ultimately the county is the Board of Commissioners. We would represent the county. And so the Board of Commissioners has ultimate direction on these matters. Does that make sense? I'm not sure I'm
That
following.
does make perfect sense, because it's like I said off the meeting is, county council works directly for the BOC. So you're not implying that any legal work we have done has to be approved by the administrator. You're not saying that.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's clear.
Well, and the administrator works for the board, so the board can tell the administrator what to do, and if administrator doesn't, then that's a separate issue, but we can tell the administrator this is what you're gonna do.
Well, it's not a separate issue, because if you ask for some work done and it doesn't get done,
Mhm.
the administrator, that's an authority that you give that we would give the administrator. That I don't think it should rest with the board. Because that would be a decision point. That the administrator would have. On what the BOC wants to do, or a BOC member wants to do,
Okay.
you see.
So I see that there's things, Dave, that the administrator will be engaging with legal counsel, is running contracts by and asking for advice on different things that, I wouldn't expect Matt to come to us and ask permission to, hey,
No.
please review this contract.
No, I'm not saying going that, I'm saying going the other.
Oh, in my experience, Dave, as if you contract with the outside counsel, then of course the BOC, since they report to them, can always contact the outside counsel and ask for any kind of legal verification. If it's a project that they need to do, if it's more than just an opinion, that should come from either the chair or or the county administrator in order to properly manage expectations and time.
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. And that's why I'm asking, is this going to be a written thing, or is it just some verbal thing we're talking about now?
I think it should be written. That way I mean, if we're wanting to establish clear communications, we should have a written, this is how we expect things to go. I think
Well, that's fine.
yeah.
I just want it written down, approved, policy approved by the BOC. I don't, so there's not confusion on how this would work.
So, what are you proposing as far as the relationship and engagement with the outside county council?
Well, that's something that has to be worked out. I mean, I don't know, we didn't get a suggested motion today either.
We actually do. It's in the cover sheet of the packet. Sorry, shoot.
Sorry, here, read what you.
And here's the cover sheet with the questions.
Okay, I don't want to read that. Okay, good enough. Okay, good enough.
So I
So-
think that some of what,
And just to reiterate, if there's the proposed motion, if the BOC wants to move forward at this point and engage as the outside counsel, is to authorize you and me to finalize an engagement letter with them. Just here to support, this is a BOC thing, but just to provide input on any. So that's the initial proposed
Well-
motion.
If it deals with the relationship board that we just talked about, you want to make sure, are we, what we're approving today, or is that going to be something we're going to work out in our agreement under the arrangement you just stated?
I would hope so, yeah.
Well, I think that part of what Bob may have been referring to, too, is the understanding of how department heads and stuff would engage and who would be handling certain issues, because, you know, kind of, my understanding what he says, kind of led off with, you know, with our hybrid model with Justin, you know, what would be expected to be handled by Justin would be expected by outside counsel, and to make that demarcation very clear as to who handles what.
I
That's
completely,
part of what I understood him to be saying.
I completely agree with that.
And that's
So-
part of all this agreement that whoever we choose is gonna have to be worked out.
Okay, so we're not approving the actual agreement, we're gonna approve which firm and then work out the deals of the agreement, and that's
Yes.
gonna come back to the BLC.
Could come back to the BOC if the BOC were comfortable with having us finalize it, we can do
Okay.
that. So it's open
Okay,
decision.
okay, that comes at the end of our meeting.
Yes.
Okay. All right. That,
So Bob, I think I heard it, but I just want to reiterate it. You don't have a problem with us engaging other specialty counsel and such as we have an outside
For planning and land use.
planning, land use, we have an employment attorney already that does union stuff. I'm not sure what else the HR department has used, you know, and maybe this would be modified since your firm does do employment stuff, but they definitely do the union stuff. I mean, I know you said it, but I just asking again, you have no problem with us engaging other outside counsel.
That's correct, and I would expect you to continue with those relationships. Certainly, you're happy with them. And I think that that's important that you do continue. We would work with them if necessary. You know, if there are some matters that, you know, flow over from one issue we have into something someone else working on, that's a matter of cooperation with other counsel to make sure that the county gets the best representation. We do that with a lot of clients. A lot of clients have their own union counsel that they've had for 20 years. And if you have a good relationship, we encourage you to continue with that.
So kind of related to that, you know, and you said like you don't do environmental stuff. I think our expectation is, you know, if we had something come up that we didn't already have an outside legal counsel for, and, you know, we would hope that if you didn't feel comfortable handling it, that you could point us in the right direction to a good firm to do that.
Absolutely. You know, so there are areas that we don't engage in, but when those do come up, we don't try to overstep our expertise, and we bring in experts that are familiar with it to associate them on it. Example would be water law. We don't do water law, but I know attorneys that do. And whenever we have those types of issues, we, you know, defer to them, associate them on the matter.
And as then we kind of touched on just a little bit, but getting the framework worked out will be the biggest thing, but you do see the hybrid model with Justin doing certain things for us and working with you. You don't see that that will be a problem.
No,
Suppose we get the ground rules laid.
I don't see that as a problem at all. In fact, Justin and I would probably want to talk about what he's doing, what he wants to do, what the areas are that we can supplement him, where we can support him, and make sure that we have a clear understanding of where that crossover is. And of course, there's input from Matt and the county commissioners on that as to how you want to handle it. It's a matter of just cooperating between council, and I don't see that as an issue.
Look like that for now.
okay.
Well, I was Dave.
You're going to-
Yeah.
Okay. You since I think it was about 2 years ago when you first started doing work for the county with the ASA, approximately, I think, I don't know.
2.5.
2.5 years ago. So can you tell us, what kind of other work have you done for Morrow County since that time? But just general, not.
Boy, there have been a number of discrete issues that have come up that we've been engaged in. I'm trying to remember what those items are. And frankly, at the moment, I don't recall all that we have done. There was an issue that's ongoing at the moment with regard to a whistleblower, and we've identified that issue with the chair. We worked on the question of how you do your capital improvement projects planning and help draft the ordinance to do that and structure that with the input from a number of people. So that's been approved, is my understanding, by the county commissioners. Matt, do you recall anything else?
Well, you also worked on the SIP IGA,
Oh, yes, yes.
and the board approved that. You worked on
Uh-huh.
that. And you also, during the ASA, which was quite long, as you know, and you worked closely with our staff on that during that time. You also helped us, when we had, as we talked to you about promptness, turnaround time, because it was a fast moving situation back then. You helped us on our media relations. If we had a news release, we wanted to make sure we weren't, because there was a lawsuit going on, et cetera, et cetera. And you were good with that. Is that something you were comfortable doing? Is that something that, I don't want the county to be in that situation again, but if it does come up like that, I thought that helped us a lot. Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, we're comfortable with that. And, Attorney Ron Guerra represented the county in a number of lawsuits that were brought in the ambulance ASP process. So we have the capability to do that, and we enjoy doing that. We've represented quite a few people in municipal litigation over the years. So, we're comfortable with that. The question is if you get multiple lawsuits, 5, 10, 20 lawsuits involving a particular issue, which we have had happen in the past, we probably need to associate additional litigation counsel on that type of matter.
Okay. No, wasn't trying to pin you down on specifics, just wondered if generally overall that was, because like I said, it did help the county. And you were originally referred to us by our county counsel, Justin Nelson. That's how when we originally contacted you about representing us for the ASA.
Yeah, and I still have ongoing relations with OHA on the ASA matters. Had a matter yesterday that a couple hours came up on a somewhat of an emergency basis in kind of the middle of the state area, but dealing with OHA issues on ASPs and the scope of them, the extent of obligations, and so on. So, that seems to be an ongoing area of concern.
Okay, I think that's all I got kind of on that subject, so.
Okay, my question is, if we're in a sort of a hybrid model, how fast would you expect there to be a turnaround if the chair or the administrator or another commissioner asks a question that, maybe doesn't need, a full in-depth paper, but just, hey, I've got a quick question. What would you expect the turnaround for that to be?
Well, it obviously depends upon the nature of the question. Sometimes we're able to answer the questions just on the phone. We get the call and the question is, can we do X, Y, or Z? We may be able to answer it immediately. And the other question that we need to know in that circumstance is the time issues. If you have a timeline that you need to have a response by the end of the day, then we need a response by the end of the day. If we can't get a response by the end of the day because it involves something more complex and more involved, then we need to have that conversation. So whatever your timeline needs are, the client's needs and
Oh, Bob, are you there?
you know, are pretty quickly answered. Because we've been doing this for a few years, so we have some understanding of things. But if they're unique questions, matter of first impression, it may take longer. But we certainly do our best to meet your timeline needs.
Okay, thank you. Just so you know, paused and cut out, but I think I got the gist of the message, so thank you.
Chair, could I ask one question?
Yeah.
Bob, currently Justin and I meet for a short time each week to just kind of coordinate and get updates on the projects. Working with your firm's schedule, do you think that that would be a possibility to engage your firm in a 20-30 minute call each week just to kind of have updates and follow-ups on projects? Would that be?
No, absolutely. I do that with, I do that with another client where we do it once a month, but we spend a little bit more time going over legal matters. But I think that would be really helpful to participate in that conversation to make sure that we have the communication straight and obligations to produce product and what is needed, outlined.
Thank you.
Jeff, you have another question?
Yeah, you probably addressed it and stuff. I suspect a lot of what we have is contract law, so you or somebody in your firm is comfortable with a lot of contract law.
Yes, yeah, we do that all the time. And strategic contracts are really interesting because we see a lot of emerging areas of creativity where people are trying to address matters in a way that hasn't been done before. And that's really interesting from a lawyer's perspective when you're dealing with strategic relationships and new structures. That those are really fun to work on. And we've done a great number of those over the years. Where there's a creative need, we try to fulfill that, and we work on all sorts of contracts for municipalities every day, basically.
That kind of gets to, some of the concerns, like Gus had brought up too, is that timeliness and, I think some of the expertise in government and then contract laws, really some of the real issues that I think that we're trying to deal with right now.
Back to timeline, you might have addressed it too, is, you're familiar, what do we have, Tuesday is our cutoff date to have, something reviewed for the next
That's for our department heads to submit for the agenda.
legal counsel?
Uh,
When does Justin have to sign off? When does he have to get it to sign off for the following week's, BOC meeting?
Generally, we ask for all the department heads to submit by Tuesday at 5 o'clock
Right,
and review by Friday.
right. Is that, are you familiar with that? Is how we do, what our system is right now? That we have a deadline at Tuesday to submit things, to have a review by legal before the following Wednesday's BOC meeting, and if you are, is that something that would work in with you?
Yeah,
Your work schedule?
yeah, we work with deadlines with one client in particular that they have to have everything on their agenda ready for publication by Thursday for the following Tuesday board meeting. And so we work back 2 weeks when we have executive staff meetings, go through what's needed, what's possibly coming up. Then we go through the documents, whatever approvals we need to do. So we have final form for the board meeting by the time that they need for publication. So we just need to, follow your timeline for that to make sure that we're complying with it and get back timely.
We've been trying to tighten up on our deadlines. And the one way around that is, or not around it, if something comes up, is we hold a special meeting. And so that might be a possibility too for you, And I guess follows into it, and you might have adjusted your opening questions as if you're on vacation or something, is there a specific partner or person that you assign to us? How does that
I
work?
would, probably would be Nicole, to back me up on communications. And then, you know, uh, my other partners would be in a position to assist if necessary. But I think Nicole would be the number one person to back up on communications. And if we needed to bring in Heidi or Ron, we could certainly do that.
Any other questions?
I'm satisfied.
That's all mine, already covered. Working with Justin. We're still yet to figure out some of those things.
Mhm.
Everything's not gonna be determined right today.
Yeah.
Okay. Guess that's what we got then.
Anything else from you, Bob, that you want to tell us
Well,
or comment on?
Thank you. I'd just like to say I've really enjoyed working with Morrow County. We went through quite a process on the ambulance service plan, getting that ordinance approved, going through a lot of the issues that were arising in the community. And I really enjoyed working, Dave, with you and the commission and with Matt and all of that. I think we were a pretty good team. And so I, would look forward to continuing that relationship in the future should you decide to go with us. So thank you for your consideration, and I hope we talk again about this.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Okay, yeah. So we wait for my.
So I can try to reach out to him, see if he's available earlier. Let me do that. And just to, in the cover sheet, I just referenced how to cover this budgetarily. Right now, we have $30,000 that have been set up for the deputy district attorney for those amounts. And we have a $75,000 for other legal services under the BOC administration fund. Of that amount, we've used $25,000 currently on the other issues, the couple lawsuits we've got going on, but we have about $50,000 remaining of that. So of the $80,000 for the next 6 months, I think even if we brought in the outside legal counsel, there would be no necessity of doing any budget changes. I think we can manage it according to budget amounts. So I just wanted to let you know, I gave the budgeted amount, but I didn't have the which we had reviewed. So just to let you know. Yeah, I will reach out to Wyatt and see when he's available.
Did we recess?
Might as well, yeah.
Oh,
Sounds good.
okay, we'll call it back into session and. Hello, how are you today? Can you hear us?
I can, yes. Can you hear me?
Okay,
Yes.
what we what we'll do is you have the questions that you've already been submitted to you, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what we'll do is, and we're doing it the exact same as the last one, is you can go ahead and address those, and then we thought we would just ask questions from the Board of Commissioners, and then you have a wrap up at the end, okay? Sound good? Okay, so,
Chair, since Wyatt's probably not familiar with this, we,
yeah,
close
let's
it
introduce
introduction.
ourselves. Valerie, want to start with there?
Hi, I'm Valerie, Executive Assistant to the BOC.
Matt Jensen, County Administrator.
Jeff Winholtz, County Commissioner.
Dave Sykes, Commissioner.
Gus Peterson, County Commissioner.
Okay, now it's in your court.
All right. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you all this morning. My name is Wyatt Baum. I am representing the firm of Baum Smith out here in the Grand Oregon. Our firm has been in existence since the early 70s. It's been by a lot of different names. Mott's Baum and O'Hanlon was probably one of the more prominent names that's known, and that was back with my father, Ray Baum, my uncle Dave Baum, Bob Motts, and Timothy O'Hanlon. And that was out of Pendleton and LeGrand. But I have been with Baum Smith, the most current iteration of that firm, for about the past 16 years, practicing law out here in Eastern Oregon. So Baum Smith, there are 3 active lawyers. We have one that's currently stepped away to raise her family up in Lostine and Wallowa County area. But myself, my partner Brent Smith, and a new partner or new associate that we hired named Stephen Dilk. So there are 3 lawyers that you would realistically have access to. We also have 5 additional support staff to those 3 lawyers. The support staff, however, is one's an office manager, one is kind of more the front desk, but then we have 3 paralegals that we work with that are very, I guess they range in experience, with one having practiced law out here in the paralegal position for the past 25 years to another that's very experienced, about 10 years, and then one that's more recent that we're kind of in training at this point in time. So that's kind of a brief overview of the firm and what we do. I practice principally, as my letter stated to you all, that I practice principally in the municipal area. And then I do have a litigation practice also that involves everything from divorces, contested probates, land use, real estate, real property disputes. My partner Brent is a civil litigator. That's what he does. He does a lot of land use, insurance defense, fires. He's very involved in B2H at the moment. So we have that kind of breadth of experience. The things we do not do that I always tell people is we don't do criminal law, we don't do bankruptcy, we don't do workers' comp. So everything else, but the majority of my practice a lot of times can be taken up with the municipal experience. So since I joined the firm back in 2010, there'd always been a kind of a municipal component to this firm, the Baum Smith Air, Mott's Baum and O'Hanlon firm. That's partially from my father, who was a state rep who represented a lot of the municipalities back in the 80s and 90s. The firm kind of continued on with those clients, and once I took over, we continued to represent a lot of municipal clients and continue to gain more municipal clients. As my letter sets out to you, we represent a significant amount of smaller entities in a lot of ways, a lot of smaller cities in Eastern Oregon. We do represent a small city out on the coast also, but then we represent Union County, which encompasses the Sheriff's Department, Public Works, Land Use, Assessor, the Clerk, all those agencies. And then we represent about 17 small cities, 5 school districts, a couple special districts, including, like Frontier Regional 911, helped get that up and running. And so our experience in the municipal law field is pretty extensive. That includes occasionally, attending council meetings or commissioner meetings or board meetings as requested, not on a required basis, but just if there's a need that arises, they need legal counsel. Prior to COVID, for example, we represent Ontario School District. They liked us to be present for a lot of the meetings. Post-COVID, that has just all been done via Zoom, which has been quite nice. So we can easily facilitate those kind of meetings also. One of the other things, I guess, to keep in mind is that because a lot of these communities that we represent are a little bit smaller, we do end up doing a lot more work for them in the HR department. Sometimes these cities or counties or other entities are going through administrative changes. So for continuity purposes, sometimes we kind of slide in to help answer questions in the meantime while they're getting people in places. So we have a lot of experience kind of standing in and helping where some of the smaller communities in Eastern Oregon might not have the experience or the budget to have somebody on staff full time to do certain things. With respect to Union County, since that's going to be the most analogous to what you guys do, they do have a DA that represents them in some instances, in some matters, and that's Kelsey McDaniels. So I work really well with her in understanding kind of what the county needs, what the county wants me to do for them, and what kind of roles she's going to cover for them also, which I understand is kind of the hybrid approach the Morrow County is looking at. But that is something we have experience with, so I'm not worried about that being something completely new to us. And in the past, we've had very open communication working with them. One of the things that I know Mr. Jensen raised to me was the issue of public records requests when those come in. We have substantial experience with public records requests, partially because some of the public bodies we have represented, both school districts and cities, have run into some very contentious constituents or residents or parents who flood those public bodies with public records requests. And a lot of those end up, like, I handle them or get people up and running on the best practices, kind of get a system up and running, then I can kind of step out and the entity municipality kind of takes over. But I can always kind of stand back and watch. But that goes from developing policies that are more protective of the staff and their time, while also providing the transparency to the public that is required under the Oregon Public Records Law, and approaching it in that way. So we have a lot of experience in developing policies internally for public bodies and helping with everything from land use, appeals, litigation for cities to labor negotiations. We do a little bit of everything what is ever required of us, and that includes contested case hearings before LUBA, contested case hearings before DEQ, those kind of things, so that we can kind of make sure that we're representing our clients in the best manner possible. I know there was a question regarding potential conflicts of interest. The only city I represent within Morrow County is Ione. That's very new. So the way that but for example, Union County, we represent a significant amount of cities within Union County, including the city of LaGrande. So there is always the potential for conflicts of interest when you represent the county and then the major cities within the county. The way we traditionally handle that is either I recommend lawyers and I step out, or depending on what the issue is, folks, both the Board of Commissioners and the City Council, they can potentially, some of those conflicts are waivable. Obviously, we don't always go for the waivable conflict because we want to make sure everybody's receiving independent legal counsel and unbiased legal counsel. But sometimes there are issues that are a potential conflict that can be waived versus issues that are not waivable, in which case two new lawyers, we just refer out to a lawyer out here in Eastern Oregon that could easily kind of step in and resolve that issue. A lot of times that has to do with like negotiations for law enforcement services, or other things like that, or building code services. And so we essentially kind of facilitate making sure other lawyers get eyes on that to make sure both the city and the county receive independent legal advice. As far as conflicts of interest, we are very versed with conflicts of interest because that's part of living out here in Eastern Oregon, in all walks of the practice of law. And then the fee approach, realistically, the fee approach is just something that, we have an hourly rate, both for myself and our staff, that we don't charge. There's no retainer, nothing like that. We don't charge unless we are specifically called on to address a situation. And then, that charge is essentially on a 0.1, which equals 6 minutes increments. So if it's a quick call, if it's not substantive, if it's a yes or no, and Mr. Jensen or a commissioner or an administrator or a department head has a question about something, and it's real quick, that's not a bill. If we're starting to pay, expensive substantive time on there, that's when we're going to start billing based on those 0.1 increments, essentially, to make sure that we're capturing it. But those bills go out if there's any on a monthly basis on the 15th of each month. If there's any questions about those bills, we're happy to discuss them. Sometimes because we have so many clients, a billing entry, hopefully this is rare, but it has happened, shows up on your bill that should have been to another entity, right? And so that's just an easy call to us, and we typically resolve those, and it's never a major issue, but we're very transparent, happy to address any fee questions you have when you receive those bills. But that's a pretty quick overview of our firm size, experience, potential conflicts, the hybrid approach, and then our fee approach. But so I guess right now I can step back unless anybody has any questions.
Well, fire away.
Um, it was I'll pass the day, Rick.
Answered all mine and the questions you've already answered, addressed, so, yeah, I don't really have any.
Okay, all right, I do, if, I just a timeline question, if, you mentioned if somebody's got a quick question and it's less than 6 minutes, we're not gonna bill you, but if I've got a quick question or chair or administrator, what would you expect the response time to be if, we just send a quick email out? What would you expect, 24 hours, 48 hours? What should we expect for that?
Yeah, that was a great question. I did mean to address that. So we typically respond within 24 hours. If it's a concern, I'm most responsive via email, but if somebody calls in, if we were to be awarded this contract, call to my staff, hey, I just sent Wyatt an email, we need a response ASAP. That's typically what the other administrators or boards do. I will look at that immediately and get it out to you that same day. Because I also realize questions pop up right before commissioner meetings or right before some public hearing that needs a quick answer. So we try to be as responsive as possible to all our clients, but especially to the municipal clients, realizing that oftentimes, just because the way the nature of the beast, you essentially have questions that come to you that is a fire that needs to be put out faster than potentially my civil clients. So we make sure that we do respond within typically that 24-hour time frame, and that usually even occurs when we're on vacation. Unfortunately, in this day and age, you can't really get away from work very well. So we're pretty accessible even when we're out of the country, unless it's like boating the middle fork of the Salmon River or something. In which case, one of my partners or my associate would be able to step in and get that response to you.
Well, thank you. Appreciate each one of your
Any other questions?
Share.
So I think just clarification again, and you kind of probably addressed it, but we do have an outside counsel for doing union negotiations and some employee issues. And we have an outside land use attorney. I mean, you don't see a problem with working with those, or if there's something outside your expertise, you pointing us to someone that's more specialized in that.
No, I appreciate that. That's good for me to know on the front of land use and labor negotiations, because those are two areas that are pretty specialized with consistently changing laws and updates to those laws. So I do fill in for municipalities that don't have somebody to do that for them. But if you already have outside counsel that handles that, Union County sometimes has outside counsel handle labor negotiations. So it's like the city of LeGrand. I do labor negotiations for others. I have no problem collaborating or coordinating or just stepping out and only being asked to step in when needed on those specific issues. So the other thing is I realize with like that type of information, there's potentially just a limited, number of issues you guys are going to use your new county counsel for, right? Because you have the DA to do certain things and you're going to have outside counsel for labor negotiations and land use. So that also kind of narrows down what you'd be expecting of us, which it also makes our life easier and makes quicker to respond, because we know, all right, well, absent some catastrophe or absent, that other council wanting to chat about something, our lane is much narrower and we'll be able to respond accordingly. So I appreciate knowing that, and I have no problem working with other council in that regard.
So I think that, you kind of hit on, and Gus had brought it up, is, some of the reasons why I think that we're looking outside is timeliness of responses and getting to projects. And also, I think probably a lot of what we have is contract law. So I think that you're probably versed in that, but, reviewing contracts and getting that type of stuff turned around, I think that those are the things that are helping drive us to do that. And I can appreciate the fact that you've had experience in working in the hybrid model.
Yeah, and a lot of what I do end up doing for Union County is reviewing contracts, right? Like federal grants that come in, or federal funds that come in, state funds that come in, and reviewing those contracts and making sure those are typically the ones that we need a quick turnaround on also, because oftentimes by the time it gets to the county or the county council, the AG or whoever from the state has already signed off on it, and the county needs the funds for the public works to start going on things. So we're very responsive in that regard. We have extensive experience with contract negotiations and review and document review and those kind of things for counties.
Go ahead.
I just have two questions. One of them is our current county council, our internal county council and I meet on a weekly basis just to go through projects and such. Would that be possible to have you participate, or one of your other attorneys just participate to give updates on any projects in that short 30 minutes on a regular weekly basis?
Yeah, absolutely. We would very much be available for that. And with the idea too, that if there was nothing to do, we could postpone that or bump it to the next week. But yeah, we would be very flexible in that regard.
All right. And then just a other question on the, I know you mentioned you had involvement with the B2H, since we're the recipient on that and have land use kind of items. Just wondering if, what's your role with that? And
Yeah, that's a great question. So again, that same issue the Union County has, right? I represented the county with some complaints that came in from residents that were not timely with respect to location and siting of B2H. My partner, Brent Smith, represents quite a few private landowners. So his involvement is access and entry to property and making sure people are receiving just compensation for whatever Idaho Power is coming in to do. Other than that, we don't have any involvement with B2H, and I don't really have much involvement at all. But Brent Smith is representing private landowners in their potential fights against Idaho Power to get adequate compensation for entry and condemnation for their properties.
Do you have any landowners in Morrow County with which you're currently working with on that?
That's a great question. I do not know off the top of my head, but I could find out and let you know.
Okay. I mean, I would expect it to be a big deal, but would be good to know.
I'll see how responsive he is right now.
That's all I mean.
Any other questions?
Do you have anything, Dave?
No, I don't. Okay, I guess that's all we got.
Anything else you want to ask?
Scott, do you want to
Say anything else?
No, I just I really appreciate the opportunity to apply. This is kind of the area of law we're trying to grow into a little bit too. Between me and the gay post, I would appreciate doing less divorces in my personal practice and spending more time with public bodies. Those are the kind of disputes I enjoy. But I know we're excited. We're willing to work with you guys. We're very excited to continue to represent clients out in Eastern Oregon, which is a big deal for us to make sure that those clients and municipalities receive the representation they need. And I just really appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Yeah.
Okay. So we have three suggested motions. Do you guys have those over? Anybody wants to make? Get one on the table and then have our discussion. I make a motion to hire Blackmore, old big legal advisors, PC, as outside legal counsel and authorize the commission chair and county administrator to prepare and sign necessary engagement letters.
I will second it. Then we'll have discussion.
Okay. Then move to second for the discussion.
Yeah. First off, I think we have two good choices. That's nice.
I agree with you.
Better than no good choices. Where's Blackmore based out of, or Nova Legal Advisors, I guess I should say.
office address is Lake Oswego.
Okay, all right.
I'll talk about him. I mean, Jeff and I engaged him, hired him way back before we had. When the ASA first got rolling, Justin recommended him. That was very tense, as Matt can tell you. That was a very tense and controversial and whatever else you want to throw into a process. I thought he did very well. I mean, like I said, I could go on, he met with the board and not so much, and he worked us all the way through that process. He's a known entity. He knows Morrow County to an extent. He knows our background. He's worked with, like I said, I've worked with him on the capital improvement plan. I worked with him on the SIP, IGA. He's prompt. He's a known entity. I don't see any reason to. He's done other work for us. I just don't see a reason to take a flyer on somebody that hasn't. I think he's put in a good try, if you want to call it a trial period. I mean, not much more could you know about how he works. How he works. So that's my pitch. As opposed to somebody we don't know much about.
So I'll echo what got said. I think that we're fortunate that both of them seem very qualified. And I think either one would do a great job, but I'll lean with what you were saying, Dave, is that the familiarity is going to push me to working more with Blackmore's firm in Nova. I think that what he's done for us in the past, he's been responsive and the relationship that we've had, and that's where I'm going to put some extra weight to the quantity.
And I think the part on this motion is he and Matt will get together and craft this. And I want to get input from you guys,
I agree.
very much so. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to bring something, plop it in the consent agenda. I want to bring it to you guys and have you work it over, because I think this is very important going into this, is so everybody knows, what we're gonna do and where we're gonna go, whose responsibility, whose isn't, all that stuff, so.
So, just, I guess, for the record, I think I would lean towards, Baum Smith. I just really appreciate that they're relatively local, and that's something that I value. But again, I do think we have two good options, so I'm not going to throw a huge fit over that. I would ask that we amend the motion to make it very clear that it will be brought back to the board for final review. So.
I'm okay with that. So I need a motion.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
So do we need, for the record, need to kind of
Oh,
state what that would look like?
can I see? Thank you.
So just, that's, it's just a second.
That is.
So that's,
Have the screen up if you want.
Okay, you know what?
oh, here.
Yeah, 4 pages, Dave. All right, there we go. Okay. I move to amend the motion that is on the table to say, move to approve the hiring of Inova Legal Advisors as outside legal counsel and authorize the commission chair and county administrator to prepare engagement letters to be approved by the Board of Commissioners.
I'll second that.
Okay. Moving second, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
So that was on the amendment, so we now have to vote on
The
the actual
okay.
motion.
Do I hear a motion to approve the main? Well, no, the motion's
It's
second.
already there, so
Okay,
we just
yeah.
vote on it again.
So, heard the motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, all opposed, motion carried. Okay. With that, no other business to come before us. Call the meeting adjourned.
Thank you.